History is littered with a very specific, very tragic archetype, the penniless genius. We look at Nikola Tesla, who died alone and destitute in a hotel room while his inventions powered the world. We look at Oscar Wilde or Edgar Allan Poe. We see men of immense processing power, capable of bending the universe with their minds, yet unable to master the simple arithmetic of a bank account. And perhaps you see a shadow of this in your own life. You are the one who aced the exams. You are the one who understands complex systems. And yet you look at your finances and you feel a disconnect. You see people with half your IQ building empires of wealth while you are still stressing about rent or living paycheck to paycheck on a high salary. You ask yourself, if I am so smart, why aren't I rich? The answer isn't that you are bad at math. The answer isn't that you are lazy. The answer is that you are running your entire life on a faulty operating system. You are a victim of a psychological phenomenon that destroys more brilliant people than addiction or bad luck combined. It is called the external scorecard. Today, we are going to explore why your need to look smart is the exact reason you are staying broke. Who is keeping score? Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men in history, poses a famous question to define this concept. He asks, would you rather be the world's greatest lover but have everyone think you're the worst? Or would you rather be the world's worst lover but have everyone think you're the greatest? If you choose the second option, you are living by an external scorecard. You prioritize the perception of the world over the reality of your existence. And here is the cruel irony. The higher your IQ, the more likely you are to be addicted to the external scorecard. Why? Because from the moment you entered kindergarten, you were trained like a seal to perform for applause. You got the gold star. You got the A on the report card. You got the scholarship. You got the praise from the teacher. Your entire identity was constructed around external validation. You learned that your worth is determined by a third party grading your performance. The average student didn't get this reinforcement. They learned to scrape by. They learned to hustle. They learned that the world doesn't care about their grades. But you became addicted to the grade. And now that you are an adult, you are trying to get an A in money. But money doesn't hand out report cards, so you invent them. The high-status poverty trap. How does a genius go broke? By trying to maintain the costume of competence. When you live by the external scorecard, you are terrified of looking average. To you, average is a failure. Average is a C-. So you curate a life that signals high intelligence and high success. You live in the zip code that impresses your colleagues, even if it devours 50% of your take-home pay. You drive the car that signals executive, even if it's a lease that prevents you from investing. You pick up the check at dinner, not because you are generous, but because you need to signal dominance. You are buying applause. The average person doesn't mind looking broke because their identity isn't tied to being special. But for you, looking broke feels like an intellectual failure. So you spend all your capital defending a fortress of perception. You are asset poor because you are status rich. You have traded your freedom for a round of applause from people who aren't even watching. The rejection of boring wealth. The external scorecard doesn't just dictate how you spend, it dictates how you invest, and this is where it gets dangerous. Real wealth, the kind that lasts generations, is incredibly boring. It is buying an index fund and waiting 30 years. It is owning a laundromat. It is waiting. But you can't put "I own an index fund" on an external scorecard. It doesn't signal genius. It doesn't look clever. It looks ordinary. Your ego demands an investment strategy that matches your intellect. You want to win by outsmarting the market. So you ignore the simple path. You dive into complex options trading.
You leverage your money in crypto. You invest in obscure startups. You engage in what psychologists call signaling complexity. You would rather lose money on a brilliant, complex thesis than make money on a dumb, simple one. Why? Because on the external scorecard, getting rich slowly looks like luck, but getting rich quickly looks like genius. You are gambling your financial future just to prove you are smarter than the crowd. The career trap. The external scorecard destroys your income potential by forcing you into prestige careers rather than profit careers. High IQ people flock to academia, to journalism, to high-end consulting, to the arts. These are fields with high social capital. They look great at a cocktail party. When you say, "I am a professor of literature," people nod. They give you the A. But often, these fields have terrible financial ratios. The competition is fierce and the pay is capped. Meanwhile, the guy with the 100 IQ started a waste management business. He drives a truck. He smells like garbage. He has zero prestige. The external scorecard gives him an F, but he has $4 million in the bank and owns his own time. You are broke because you chose a career that pays in respect while he chose a career that pays in dollars. You can't pay your mortgage with respect. But your addiction to the external scorecard won't let you do dirty or simple work because you feel it is beneath your potential. The internal scorecard. So, how do you break the cycle? You have to undergo a violent psychological shift. You have to be willing to look like a failure to the outside world in order to be a success to yourself. The internal scorecard asks only one question: am I doing what I want to do, and is it working for me? It doesn't care if the neighbors think you are struggling because you didn't upgrade your kitchen. It cares about autonomy. The internal scorecard values freedom over fame. When you switch to the internal scorecard, you stop buying things to impress others. You stop investing to prove you are smart. You realize that status is a multiplayer game with no winners, only exhausted players. Your burn rate drops, savings rate explodes. You start accumulating FU money. FU money is the ultimate expression of the internal scorecard. It isn't about being rude, it is about being untouchable. It is the ability to walk away from a bad boss, a bad situation, or a bad negotiation because you don't need their validation. You have your own. You change the power dynamic of your entire life. You stop asking for permission to live your life, and you start funding it. The ghost strategy. The smartest financial move you can make is to become a ghost. Stop trying to look rich. Start trying to be rich. There's a massive difference. Looking rich is a liability. It attracts envy, it costs money, and it keeps you on the treadmill. Being rich is a secret. It is the quiet confidence of knowing you could buy the dealership even as you drive past it in your Honda. The genius goes broke because he's screaming for attention. The wise man gets rich because he's embracing the silence. You have to accept that nobody is grading you anymore. The teacher has left the building. There is no dean's list. There is only your bank account and your time. If you are broke, you are failing the only test that matters, the test of your own survival. So, take a look at your life. Look at your car, your house, your clothes, your career. Ask yourself, did I buy this because I like it? Or did I buy this because it helps me get an A from the world? If the answer is the latter, it is time to drop out of the class. Stop trying to look smart. Start being free. The only scorecard that matters is the one you hold in the mirror. Watch this next video on your screen. Thank you for watching.